day, everyone. Welcome to another poetry recording. This is the 9th poem on the grade 12 prescribed poetry list. The title of the poem is The Morning Sun is Shining by Shreiner. The importance of the background knowledge. The background information can help us better understand the poem in the following ways. The biographical context. Knowing the poet's background, life experiences, and personal beliefs can give us a deeper understanding of their motivations, inspirations, and the themes they explore in the poetry. It's important as a grade 12 learner to focus on the background of the poet. Who is Shreiner? Shreiner was born in 1855 and passed away in 1920. She was born in the Eastern Cape. She was born at a mission station called Wittenbergen in the Eastern Cape. She is best known for her novel, The Story of an African Farm. She wrote on a range of political issues. Her only child, a daughter, dies within a day of being born. This poem conveys Shreiner's deep love of nature and her belief that the world and nature are connected. Note that when she did write on political issues and social issues, she wrote on topics such as anti-racism and feminism. The summary of the poem. The poem begins with the speaker sitting in the morning sunshine. She praises this beauty of nature around her. As she's surrounded by beauty, specifically a willow tree and a bubbling fountain, insects and birds. The speaker sees the beautiful day around her and hears the birds singing. She experiences the smell of the thorn tree. All of these sensations of beauty become overwhelming as she realizes that she is unable to experience beauty in this day with a loved one of whom she will never get to see or touch again. So the last 4 lines start to step away from the natural scene. We see the sadness of these lines coming through where she can't be able to experience this day with the loved one. The poem reads, The morning sun is shining. The morning sun is shining on the green, green willow tree and sends a golden sunbeam to dance upon my knee. The fountain bubbles merrily, the yellow locusts spring, of life and light and sunshine, and the happy brown birds sing. The earth is clothed with beauty, the air is filled with song. The yellow thorn trees load the wind with odors sweet and strong. There is a hand I never touch and a face I never see. Now what is sunshine? What is song? Now what is light to me? As we look at the form and structure of the poem, let's just notice that it is 16 lines long, divided into 4 apparent segments. Line 1 to 4 discusses the sense of sight. Line 5 to 8 discuss the sense of hearing. Lines 9 to 12 focus on the sense of smell. These senses appreciate the morning filled with the sun and nature. However, the last 4 lines, there seems to be a sudden change. Even though the speaker mentions the senses of touch and sight, they are experiences that her senses will never have. Notice the rhyme scheme as well, being A, B, C, B, D, E, F, E, and it continues. These give off a regular rhyme pattern. Every last word of every alternating line in each stanza rhymes. The title introduces a positive image. We associate a bright, sunny morning with warmth and happiness. But this is in contrast to the last 4 lines of the poem, where the reader realizes that the sun is actually her last born or a loved one who died shortly after her birth. Shreiner suffered multiple miscarriages as a young woman. Her one child, whom she carried to term, sadly died within a few days of being born. The contrast between the beauty and the richness of nature and the enormous loss she suffered is heartbreaking. Thus, we have figurative irony here. Her son, the child is no longer shining, has died. What begins as a lyrical celebration of nature ends up as a lament for the loss of a loved one. We could think maybe her child. The juxtaposition between the beauty and abundance of nature and the immense loss suffered by the speaker contributes to a very sad poem or tone in the poem. So we look at lines 1 to 2. The morning sun is shining on the green, green willow tree. The morning sun creates an image of a warm, lovely morning in our imaginations. You can also say that the sun is a symbol of life. Consider the repetition of the willow tree being described as green, green. The repetition of the word green emphasizes the beauty and just how intense the green color of the tree is. We also associate the color of green with freshness, lush, and vegetation as well as life. The speaker specifically chose to include a willow tree in this picture she paints with her words in the poem. A willow tree might symbolize power and security for the fact that the branches can be used to make baskets and boats. A willow tree can also symbolize the idea of fertility, as a single branch placed in the ground will root and another tree will grow. In various Asian cultures, a willow tree is associated with love, with grief, with loss of love. It is common to find these trees in Asian graveyards. The specific reason Shreiner chose to incorporate the willow tree into the poem is left for us to interpret. Notice also the S and S in sun and shining. That is an alliteration to emphasize the beautiful nature around her. Line 3 and 4. And sends a golden sunbeam to dance upon my knee. The speaker states that the sun also sends a golden sunbeam to dance upon my knee. There is personification evident as the sun is given the human quality of having the ability to send something. The sun sends a golden sunbeam. The fact that the sunbeam is described as golden refers to its color, but it also suggests something that is precious and filled with richness and beauty. This golden sunbeam is sent to dance upon her knee. We have another personification here, in which the sunbeam is given the human quality of being able to dance. The sun blesses the earth with warmth, joy, and delight. Dancing has connotations of light-heartedness, playfulness, and happiness. Line 5. The fountain bubbles merrily. The diction of the speaker or the choice of the word bubbles is an example of onomatopoeia. The sound of the word bubbles imitates a happy and satisfying sound, also one that is quite carefree. The way in which the fountain is bubbling is merrily. Here we have an example of a personification in which the fountain is described as being merry, which reinforces the tone and the mood of beauty, joy, and peacefulness. In this line, we see the happiness and the idyllic beauty of the morning. Line 6, the yellow locust spring, 7 of life and light and sunshine. In line 6, the speaker describes the yellow locust's spring. The diction of the choice of the word spring suggests that the locusts jump with so much energy. This image in our imaginations reinforces the idea that nature is associated with ideas of happiness and vitality. Of life and light and sunshine, the happy brown bird sings. Consider the words life and light. Here we have an alliteration. We interpret this alliteration as repetition of the L sound in life and light, which the idea that it provides a sense of freedom and suggests an experience of life that is free of burdens. This life is unburdened in this happy morning. The repetition of the word and in line 7 alludes to the spontaneous expression of emotions and reinforces the idea of the speaker's surroundings. It is almost like the speaker is listing, reinforcing the ideas of abundance and joy. Those ideas are what the happy brown birds sing about. This contributes to the idea that the natural world is celebrating the beauty of life. The figure of speech here is personification, as the birds are given the human quality of singing. The singing of the birds is happy. This reinforces the idea that plants, insects, and birds are all rejoicing in the morning sunshine. The locusts is the same color as the sunbeam. The movement of the locust is compared to the movement of light through the trees. Bouncing and springing being the words. Line 8, the happy brown birds sing. The singing of the birds is happy. This reinforces the idea that plants, insects, birds, and all other things in nature are rejoicing in the morning sunshine. The earth is clothed with beauty. The earth is described as being clothed with beauty. This is a personification. It can be said that the earth is covered with beauty, which suggests it has an impressive appearance created by nature. Clothing, in the literal sense, covers our bodies, providing a feeling of comfort. This analogy can be extended by saying that the speaker finds a sense of comfort in the beautiful natural environment that is surrounding her, which makes her happy. In line 10, the air is filled with song. We can interpret this line as saying that nature is alive with music and beauty. Even the air is filled with song or happiness. The speaker further describes the surrounding nature that she is experiencing with her senses. In line 11, she mentions the yellow thorned trees. This line places her surroundings or the poem in the context of South Africa. After all, Shreiner is a South African poet. The speaker says these thorn trees are loading the wind. In other words, they fill the air with their scent. These trees are also full of flowers, and the sense of smell is used to show how their smell is persuasive. The air is filled with odors or smells that are sweet and strong. These words, sweet and strong, illustrate another example of alliteration. This alliteration emphasizes that the smell of these trees is pungent, reinforcing the strength of the smell. We see that these two lines have the S sound. They contribute to the lyrical quality of the poem. In line 13 and 14, there is a hand I have never touched and a face I never see. The imagery conveyed in these lines, the tone and the mood, give off a shift that is unexpected in the last 4 lines of the poem. The tone refers to the attitude or feelings of the writer, while the mood refers to how the poem makes us as the reader feel. The content of the last four lines of the poem jumps from the beauty of nature to that of a personal and deeply saddening piece of information. This is a stark contrast in the poem. The speaker is filled with despair because she has lost someone important to her, which we can infer that to be her daughter. Consider the phrase, hand I have never touched and face I never see. The speaker does not reveal the identity of the hand she has never touched and the face she never sees, but we know from the background knowledge that the poet, Shreiner, was deeply affected by the loss of her child. We can therefore make the presumption that the poem is about her daughter, whom Shreiner lost a day after her birth. Lines 15 to 16. Now what is sunshine? What is song? Now what is light to me? The last two lines of the poem, we see that the speaker ends the poem with three rhetorical questions. Remember that a rhetorical question is a question that makes the reader reflect on or think about the subject at hand. The speaker asks, what is the point of experiencing a beautiful natural morning if there is nobody to share it with? Even though the speaker's surroundings are beautiful, she finds no comfort in them. This implies that the beauty of nature cannot reduce the pain of her loss and grief, as well as isolation. The use of the present tense implies that despite the passage of time, the speaker still grieves. We get a tone of bitterness that creeps in as she questions the purpose and the meaning of this beauty if she cannot share it with her loved one. As we look at the tone, the mood, and the themes of the poem, we see that in lines 1 to 12, the tone is happy, cheerful, and peaceful, while the mood is celebratory and happy. The poet admires the beauty of nature. However, when we look at lines 13 to 16's tone, it is sorrowful and bitter, and the mood is somber. The speaker expresses her sadness and bitterness. Her only child is dead. From lines 13 to 16, we get the themes of loneliness and despair, futility of human relations, and the brief nature of human life. So we look at a past question paper. This one is the preliminary examination of 2023. Make sure that when you go into the exam, you highlight the important parts of the question. Your action verbs are very important in determining how your responses should come about. Question 2.1 for the poem reads, what does the phrase green green suggest about the willow tree? It is for 2 marks, therefore you should have 2 responses. 2.1 memo reads, it suggests that the tree is young or supple or lithe. Then you give your second response saying the tree is still growing. 2 marks are given for the idea that you are responding to. Question 2.2 says, refers to line 3 to 4, and sends a golden sunbeam to dance upon my knee. It says, explain the ambiguous meaning of the statement. Ambiguity should be understood that it is having 2 meanings. Here, your response should have ran with the idea of the sun is shining on the speaker's knee. That would have been the literal sense of what you would have meant. It can also be a reference to the child being bounced on the speaker's knee. In this case, the child she had lost. So very clearly we can see the ambiguity there. The line has, or the lines have 2 different meanings to it. So make sure that you underline the important things that you're asked to do so that you're able to respond to your questions for maximization of the marks. Question 2.3 reads, refer to lines 9 to 12. The earth is clothed with beauty. The air is filled with song. The yellow thorn trees load the wind with odors sweet and strong. Discuss how the imagery evokes the mood of these lines. It is for 3 marks. Therefore, you are going to be awarded 1 mark by identifying what the mood is firstly, and then 2 marks for a well-developed discussion. The mood here would have been awe, or admiration, or wonder, or joy of the beauty of nature. Any of those words would have gotten you a mark. Then you were to explain how this mood evokes, how this imagery evokes this mood. Your response should have come with 2 well-explained sentences. The smells being strong underline the mood of wonder. The idea that the air is filled with music shows the admiration the speaker feels for the beauty of nature. Please continue to look through the question 2.4 in order to guide and get an idea of how to respond to your questions. A few tips from the 2023 marking comments. As repeated in the other videos, you need to understand your technical aspects such as diction, phrases, imagery, repetition, and the effect that they have on the poem. This must be understood. You can find the explanation to these technical aspects in the Introduction to Poetry video that I posted. For a second point, all parts of the question must be answered. Just like I showed you previously, make sure that you check if the question is asking you to respond to 1 thing or 2 things or even more, so that you maximize on your marks. Use synonyms for diction referred to in the poem. Please do not just simply lift from the poem, as this shows no understanding of what you know, and no marks will be awarded towards it. And lastly, when a question has a critically component to it, you as the learner must be able to look very closely to the meaning of what needs to be looked at, and thereafter make an evaluation or assessment on the aspect under scrutiny. This is where you as the candidate show your insight and prior knowledge, and this is required to adequately answer the question. These are the resources that I used to compile this poem's video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you like, you subscribe, and press on the notification button so that you can be informed on all the new videos posted. Thank you.